Trump made the rounds on the 4 morning news shows today, refusing to back down from comments he made about Megyn Kelly following the GOP presidential debate.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. The next day, I wake up and I hear that somebody took it as something else. Only a deviant would think that, Chuck. I didn't even think that. Who would think it? I apologize when I'm wrong, but I haven't been wrong.
This is familiar rhetoric from Donald Trump this presidential cycle, these unabashed statements about certain people and topics. But what does a former contestant on The Apprentice remember about the Donald Trump of years ago? Is Trump being misunderstood, or was he always this controversial? Well, joining me now is that contestant, Kwame Jackson, the runner-up in season 1 of The Apprentice and the president of Kwame Incorporated. Welcome.
Thank you.
As you're coming into the studio, like, I remember you, because half the planet was watching The Apprentice back in 2004.
We had a few small viewers.
You had a few for sure. Let's take a moment for anyone who didn't miss the show and was living under a rock. Let's take a moment to take a look back at 2004. Here's that, everyone.
Now, everybody assumed that I was going to be picking a really beautiful woman like Amy. And, hey, I'm stuck with 2 guys. The fact is that you guys were the best.
So Donald Trump has been making remarks about women over the years. First of all, the comments that he made about Megyn Kelly, as you heard them, were you surprised by them?
Well, what's interesting about this whole thing is on the anniversary of Black Lives Matter today and Michael Brown, I like to call this whole moment Blonde Lives Matter. And what I mean by Blonde Lives Matter is no disrespect. Yours definitely does. No disrespect to Megyn Kelly. I think she's a professional and she did a great job in the debate. But what I mean by that is if we look at the string of offenses, we start with 09, 010, the birther movement in Barack Obama and questioning of his papers and his resume and his birth certificate. And so making sure that he was qualified to be in the game. And then we move on to the Mexican immigrant comments and we think about what that meant and the rapists and the criminals, etc. And once again, America didn't really quite speak up in resounding voice. Then we move from there to John McCain
right,
and the prisoner of war statements and essentially everything that meant in questioning someone who spent 5 years in a POW camp. Once again, not a resounding voice of disapproval. Now we move to the Blonde Lives Matter moment with Megyn Kelly and this issue around women. I think it was highly disrespectful. I do think that, there was a negative intent there. But I think it's interesting because America has to ask itself, who do we have to offend for it to matter? And in that situation, particularly, Megyn Kelly.
I'm curious, though, you find it offensive. Most of the women, I believe that's 53% of the voting population in this country, they find it offensive. And yet Donald Trump says, I didn't mean anything by it. They're misinterpreting. Does he speak like that all the time?
Yeah, from my experience, on the show, I thought that he was fairly egalitarian. Obviously, he has the huge ego and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of knew what I was dealing with, and I had heard rumblings of kind of the corporate racism and other things in his past. But what really did it for me was the 09, 010 incident around the birther movement. I really felt like that was an indictment of all minority professionals. That show me your resume, show me your grades, show me that you are fit to be here and that you're qualified and that you have to show your papers as in some kind of South Africa apartheid method. And I felt that was highly offensive. And that was the tipping point for me where I said, you know what, Mr. Trump, there is a whole baggage there that you're dealing with that I don't think is America's future. And I really hope that it's America's past.
Here's what's interesting, though. I don't know Mr. Trump personally. I do have dear friends whom I hold a lot of respect for who do. And they say he is the nicest guy. They love him. Tell me what he's like as a person. Did you like him? Did you get along with him?
Yeah, I think once again, there was an 04, 03 Mr. Trump in terms of the filming and what I thought that, he represented and how he branded himself.
Which was a show. I mean, that was entertainment.
It was a show and it was entertainment, and I was happy to be part of that process. And so I'm thankful for that platform and what it's done for me as an entrepreneur. But at the same time, I didn't have the baggage and the data set that we're dealing with now in 2015. So as I look back, I say, hey, he was egalitarian. He was fair with me at the time. Obviously some people consider him charming, but he's bombastic and, has this whole big ego. But as we forward to 2015 and you look at the data set of offenses, like I said, John McCain, you look at Megyn Kelly, you look at the Mexican immigrants comment, there is a certain undercurrent there. I call it kind of a toxic ecosystem that I feel like he continues to create that puts us in a position that, you want to question whether you want to have someone like that as our Republican nominee.
So my question then, I think you may have just answered it, but is he fit to be president in your mind? Is he an entertainer or is he a politician?
I think he's an entertainer. Obviously, he's a qualified businessman, but
Sure.
for me, he's not my presidential choice. I'm a registered Democrat and a supporter of, Hillary Clinton and all the great things that she's doing for America. But in terms of his temperament, in terms of how he reacts to negative situations, in terms of his relationship with women over time, I think we really have to call into question as voters whether that's somebody we want representing us in the future for the United States of
Kwame
America.
Jackson, so good to meet you.
Thank you
so
for having
much.
me.
Have a good one.
Awesome.